Once the calendar flips over to January, some of us are still deer hunting here in Missouri. Our archery season goes to January 15th. But a lot of states' deer season are closed and folks are starting to think about turkeys. Let's talk today what you can do now to increase the number of turkeys reproduced and or using your property. Hey, if you're going to the National Wild Turkey Federation Convention this February in Nashville, Tennessee, Daniel and I will be there Friday and Saturday at the Bass Pro booth. Come by, shake hands, tell us a turkey story, and let us talk to you about improving habitat and removing predators to improve your turkey population. Obviously, turkey season and reproduction is not going to happen between now and turkey season, but there are some things you can do to attract turkeys to use your land more. Turkeys tend to have a fairly large home range, and to increase the odds of those nests becoming poults and adding to your turkey population. We've shared in the past that habitat is job one for turkey managers. I'm standing in an area that was several acres of cedars. This was just tall cedars, another biological desert here at the Proving Grounds 2. Crew we use come in and felled all these cedars and then slashed it down. You see just little pieces of cedars. Now you pay a little bit more to have them slashed, but the advantage of that is they cut it so much that moisture leaves, and we'll be able to burn this after 1 year instead of 2, and really start that process of getting native grasses and forbs growing where it was just a shaded out, closed canopy forest. In areas like that, there's more food for turkeys to eat, more plants, more insects, and way better nesting and brooding habitat. When it comes to turkeys, turning that nest into a brood and that brood into adults is the only and certainly the best way to increase the turkey population. So this looks like a mess right now. Come back in a year, we'll show it to you. We'll put a match in here. No, this is gonna be intense, so we won't start the fire at the bottom. We'll just do little strips working our way downhill, controlling that flame height and the intensity of the fire, and this will end up being incredible turkey and deer habitat. You may not be in an area where eastern red cedar is a very invasive species. We understand that. We were just working down in South Carolina, had a large timber harvest going on with the forester we work with a lot down there, great landowner, Mr. Damon, and he's gonna have incredible turkey habitat in a pine stand that again was a biological desert. Daniel and I were there a while back, laid out a plan for him. His dad had planted those pines over 30 years ago. They'd never been thinned. And you talk about a desert, great big pine trees and nothing but sweet gum and shade underneath there. We're thinning that stand, working with the forester we work with frequently, down to about 60 basal feet per acre. Laid out several food plots in there where they harvested everything and took the stumps out. Follow up with the prescribed fire, and I can't wait to join Damon on a deer and turkey hunt in the future as his habitat is going to improve significantly. You may be in an area that's primarily hardwoods. Hey, we help a lot of landowners like that, and we may prescribe double girdling this time of year. It's a really pleasant time to be out, great temperature for out working, ticks aren't out, but the leaves aren't out. So double girdle, cut through the bark into the cambium twice in a tree, and on a lot of species you're gonna need a herbicide application or girdle once and use a herbicide application. You can terminate those trees standing, the undesirable hardwoods, and leave the best trees. That's totally different than most logging operations where they take the best and leave the rest. By doing that TSI, timber stand improvement, you can make huge increases in both the timber value by letting those best trees mature and big advantages, big improvements in the wildlife habitat quality. Now we talk about habitat quality, but it also increases the huntability. You may ask why. Well, those trees, those oak trees that have the competition removed away from them are gonna produce more acorns, and as hunters, you can have more visibility. You can see deer further, know where to rattle or grunt, or move your stand accordingly based on what you're seeing as deer travel patterns. You don't want to use hack and squirt right now because it's not effective on all species. It's best when the leaves are fully formed, early summer, until those leaves start changing color. That's the best time for hack and squirt. It's less work, hack, squirt, than double girdle, but double girdle allows you to work at a very pleasant time of year and really be effective at terminating those low quality trees. You probably noticed all those habitat improvement techniques I mentioned, just like where the cedars have been cut where I'm standing, are focused on getting more sunshine to the ground. And I like to do this when I'm giving seminars or talking. I ask someone, hey, what'd you have for breakfast today? And they're telling me scrambled eggs or, bacon or biscuits and gravy. I say, well, you really had photosynthesis, because everything we eat starts with photosynthesis. That is true for all of wildlife. So turkeys and deer, if they're eating something, that started with photosynthesis. Even insects, because they're eating plant material or something like that. So we want to get that photosynthesis occurring where critters are making a living. And with deer and turkey, that's primarily 0 to 3 feet off the ground. When this area, this whole ridge behind me was covered with cedars and all that photosynthesis was occurring over my head, there was no cover or no food for critters. So the techniques I've just described are all focused on getting some sun down to the ground. Often fire is needed after those management actions to stimulate that native seed bank.
Growing Deer is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Also by Green Cover Food Plots, Winchester, Moultrie Mobile, Fleet Outdoor Apparel, Morel Targets, Fourth Arrow, Scorpion Venom Archery, Case IH Tractors, Ward Laboratories, Burris Optics, G5 Broadheads, Prime Bows, and Redneck Hunting Blinds.
You can really produce great nesting and brooding habitat like this will be in a year or two after we burn this. I'm sure some turkeys will nest in this fallen cedar this spring, but it can get much better. But even with the best nesting habitat, remember, predators hunt with their nose or their eyes. Used to be an old professor down at Auburn University that talked about the federal birds when hawks and owls were first protected. He called them federal birds. And they're flying over. Crows even break up turkey nests. So there's not a lot we can do about some of those except have really good cover. And really good nesting cover is slightly different than good brooding cover. That's a topic for another video. But we want thick at the ground and an umbrella type habitat where that hen can stick her head up and look around. It's often called periscoping, like a periscope on a submarine. Look for predators, but that umbrella habitat that's not too thick at ground level allows those poults to move around and bug without being visible from the top. In a big area, like the 10 or 20 acres behind me, well, that means the predator has to get pretty close to smell the prey species. If you're just doing 2 trees or 1/4 acre of cover, that's what we call a predator food plot. Any predator on the downwind side can smell that nest or those young poults in there. So you want to make your cover blocks. I like to make them at least 7 to 10 acres so there's some predator defense. Remember, a lot of predators, coons, possums, coyotes, bobcats, skunks, whatever, are hunting by their nose. And when you get on that downwind side or downhill side at night when thermals are taking that scent down, you've got a little skinny cover block. That's why I call that a predator food plot, because predators can go right in there and find those fawns or poults. Even with a big block of cover like this, of course, again, crows and hawks could fly over. Coyotes cut through here, coons cut through here. Here's a secret. Cover like this, or what it will be, is not very good raccoon habitat. Others have shared this too, but I like to read a lot. The Daniel Boone journals, Lewis Clark, whatever. They don't talk about seeing raccoons in savanna or open grassland habitat. That's not prime raccoon habitat. That's probably one reason the turkey populations were so huge back when the early explorers were talking about seeing 1,000 or more in a flock. So woodlands have encroached a lot of places, and it's made really good raccoon habitat. By opening it up here and using a lot of prescribed fire, it's not as friendly for raccoons and more friendly for the prey species. Even with all that, trapping's still a really important wildlife management tool for a lot of species: ducks, quail, turkeys, and deer. We trap intensively here at the Proving Grounds, and we have a really good turkey population. Now, we've improved the habitat, but our turkey population seems better. This is not an official count. A lot of my friends or clients that do similar habitat improvement, but don't work to balance the amount of predators and prey species. You know, you've taken your ball or watched someone take a ball and throw it as far as you can throw one in great cover, and then send a dog in there and retrieve it. Or you're quail hunting, or you're hunting with a dog, rabbit hunting, and they find prey species in that thick cover. Now you think about a raccoon or a possum or a fox or a bobcat or coyote that's got to make a living. There's no Purina dog chow at the end of the night for them. They've got to find something and eat it to stay alive. They're really effective hunters and predators, and that's why I like to work to balance the amount of predators with the amount of prey species so both populations thrive. Both have ample offspring. If you let one or the other get out of balance, well, that's not good conservation. As an example, I got a buddy in Tennessee we helped a couple years ago, and with some habitat layout, he's been really good at implementing those habitat plans, and really encouraged him to work on balancing the predators. And man, he took that to heart and used all of Tennessee's season. I mean, he is just, I get texts or emails, hey, I got 5 more today, I got 3 more today, or whatever. I mean, he put the hammer down on a relatively small property. And he shared a video with me. One of his neighbor friends was driving by the other day. Check this out, man. When's the last time you saw a flock this big in a lot of the eastern states? Well, this is a property where the landowner has really taken to heart balancing the predator and prey species. You can do this too. It takes some effort. A lot of scientists say, oh, that's too much work, it's too expensive to trap, or whatever. I'm a busy guy. I travel 30 plus weeks out of the year, and between Daniel, Nevin, and I, or just me before I had employees, I did a lot of trapping, and it's really helped the wildlife populations, the game populations here at our property. I would say that habitat's always the first priority, right? You got to have a place for critters to live, but habitat improvement paired with trapping can really bolster those populations, getting close to back to what they were at the heyday of turkey hunting. I'm really looking forward to turkey hunting this year, not only here at the Proving Grounds too, but with some friends and folks we've helped with habitat and hunting improvement techniques at their properties. And when we're hunting on those properties, we'll share with you what techniques they've used in that habitat type and the results. Doing this type of work, or even trapping, certainly hunting, or just taking a walk and maybe scouting for critters is a great way to get outside and enjoy creation. But more important than all these habitat and hunting techniques is to be sure you take time every day to intentionally be quiet and seek the Creator's will and apply it to your life. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.